Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. How are you guys? Assalamu alaikum everyone. So in last class we completed the discussion of diode rectifier. Next, I wanted to first start with DC to DC converters, step down and step up converters, and then we come back to controlled rectification, which is basically using thyristor-based, SCR-based circuits. So that we will be covering little later during this course. So shall we start?
Yes.
Okay. So as far as DC to DC converters are concerned, the major components in these DC to DC converters are basically four. The number of components for each component could be higher than one, but the basic ones have only one of each component. So one is the control switch, which can be controlled like BJT, MOSFET, IGBT, GTOs, and so on. Then we have diode, inductor, and capacitor. So these are the basic DC to DC converters that we are going to discuss first, and that is the step down, step up, and then we have a converter that can do the both step down and step up at the same time, just without changing the circuit, just changing the duty cycle. By changing the duty cycle, buck boost converter can step down and step up. One of the condition can be set using the duty cycle. So first we will discuss the non-isolated type of DC to DC converters. By non-isolated, I mean that the connection between input and output is direct connection, electrical connection, and there is no isolation whatsoever is used to isolate input and output voltage. ठीक है? So input और output voltage जो है वो electrically आपस में connected होते हैं. But when we are talking about isolated DC to DC converter, they involve transformer-like configuration in which primary and secondary isolates the input voltage from the output voltage. So there is no direct connection in isolated DC to DC transformers between input and output. But we will first start with non-isolated, that is where input and output they are connected together. So these are the three basic types. There are a lot of other types as well, which basically uses the same working as of these basic ones, but the difference could be their count energy storage components may be high, or mostly in most of the cases the energy storage components, their count is like inductor could be used twice instead of one, or capacitor could be used twice. So so there are a lot of other types of DC to DC converters, but the basic working is the same. They are either stepping down the input voltage to a lower output voltage, or stepping up the lower input voltage to higher input voltage. So now you can see we have a single pole double throw switch, that gives us the option to connect the pole at position 1 or position 2, and this is realized using a controlled and uncontrolled switch. BJT and a diode, or a MOSFET and diode, and similarly other semiconductor control devices can also be used. So in buck converter, where we are stepping down the input DC voltage, we have switch and diode first, then inductor and capacitor as a second order filter to filter out the square wave sort of or pulsated DC into a stable DC. Then we have a step-up converter, which is known as boost converter. And in this case, inductor comes first, then switch, diode, and capacitor. So most of the cases, capacitor is essential across the load, because this capacitor is going to consume the ripple current, and only the DC current is going to be applied to the load. So, and the third one is buck boost converter, which can step up and step down, perform both operations by the provision of duty cycle. Depending upon the duty cycle, the buck boost converter is going to step down or step up. So in boost converter, first comes the switch, then inductor, diode, and capacitor. So in all three converters, you can find out that capacitor is all the time connected in parallel with the load, whereas other three components, switch, diode, and inductor, their locations, they are changed. And by changing these three components locations, we can get different working of the power converter. So our objective is to reduce, to step down the DC voltage, but efficiently. By efficiently, we mean that there is minimum power loss in DC to DC buck converter. Ideally speaking, we'll consider it input power and output power equal to each other, and thereby efficiency is 100% or unity. But in practice, we know that there are energy storage components, and those energy storage components have parasitic resistances, and therefore, according to the current, I square R loss appears in those energy storage devices as well as in switches, MOSFET, diode, BJT. So they also produce some switching or conduction losses. So in ideal situation, we want that the input and output power must be equal. So we know the inefficient DC to DC converter, we have very low efficiency, and that efficiency depends on the voltage divider ratio. So as low is the ratio, as low is going to be the efficiency, and that depends on the output voltage. So how much is the decrease in output voltage as compared to input voltage? So if there's a huge difference between input and output voltage, then obviously the voltage divider ratio is going to be very small, and therefore the efficiency is going to be very low. So like in example, if input voltage is 39 volts, output voltage is 13 volts, the ratio of voltage divider should be 1/3. So therefore the efficiency is also 1/3, 33% only. So that is useful in very low power applications because the information electronics, in which the power is not the major concern, and there we only deal with the information of voltage or current, but the power flow is very small. In those cases, the voltage divider type of circuits, they are they work quite well. Like you have also used the voltage divider circuit or actually seen in when we are designing a feedback converter, feedback controller for the converter. Then we use this voltage divider circuit to get the information of output voltage by reducing it down to a very low value, because the resistances are quite large in order of kilo or maybe mega ohms. So therefore the ratio is very small, and the current is very small, and therefore in those cases we are not actually concerned about the power. We are only concerned about the voltage information, and based on that we are designing a control system. So if we want to have a lossless conversion from 39 volts to 13 volts, the easy way is to just put one single switch which is going to pulsate the input voltage high or low, 39 or 0, and the average value is going to be the required value depending on the duty cycle. So this duty cycle is basically the turn on time and turn off time, T on and T off within one cycle. Okay, so T on is basically equal to dt, and T off is equal to 1 minus dt. In introduction, we discussed already this point, how we get that. I hope you guys remember it. So this type of conversion is really lossless or very close to ideal one, but the problem is the square wave includes high frequency harmonic components for voltage and current. So therefore they introduce an additional loss in the load, and that is not good for the load. So what we can do is we can put a large capacitor in parallel with the load to minimize the ripples, but we know what is the characteristic of a capacitor. When we close the switch, capacitor is current hungry, so it would generate a very large current spike to instantaneously build the required voltage. So therefore, only a capacitor is not a good solution. Therefore, we can add inductor to minimize the current ripple, to limit the current from going very high initially, so it prevents current spikes and everything goes okay. But when we want to switch off the control switch, the current is going to be cut down instantaneously, and inductor does not allow that, and therefore during the opening of switch, it would generate a very high voltage spike, which can again damage the switch. So therefore we have to provide a freewheeling path using a freewheeling diode, and therefore we need all four components because they keep other components safe. Okay? So that is why this is the minimum requirement. Without these four components, we cannot effectively design a buck converter or even other boost converter as well. Because when switch is off, we have to provide a freewheeling current path, and diode serves that purpose. Hopefully यहाँ तक everything is clear. Okay, so then comes the understanding which we already have, just going through it, and that is when the circuit is operating in steady state, the voltage across capacitor is going to be voltage across the inductor is going to be the average of that voltage is going to be 0, and therefore the current which is passing through the capacitor, average of that current is also 0. Okay, so average current through the capacitor when circuit is operating in steady state, then the average of that current is 0. Similarly, for the inductor, when we change current, there is a huge voltage spike because of the inductor. So in average, when the inductor is charging or discharging, the voltage appearing across the inductor, positive or negative, the average should be 0. So if it is working in steady state, we'll consider its average as if the voltage across inductor is 0. So similarly, we can apply KCL, KVL, and find out everything as we discussed. So here on the slide, we have just summarizing here that the average voltage across the inductor is 0. Average current across the capacitor through the capacitor is also 0. So now let's move on to the working of buck converter. So when we close the switch, that is the mode 1. And when we open the switch, that is mode 2. So therefore, first let's see when the switch is closed, what happens. So the input current flows and diode gets reverse biased. Why? Because if we consider this switch ideal switch, then when it is closed, the input voltage will appear across the diode as a reverse bias, because cathode is at higher potential and anode is at ground. So therefore, diode becomes reverse biased, and therefore this acts as a open circuit, and therefore we have only voltage, inductor, capacitor, and load in mode 1, and the voltage drop across inductor is Vin minus V out. Okay. So now we can find out the voltage across the inductor, and therefore the current change or slope of the current. So we know VL, inductor voltage, is L di by dt, and if we look into the voltage, it's basically on the left side we have Vin, on the right side we have V out. So therefore, between these two nodes we have inductor, so the voltage across inductor is the difference of these two node voltages. So Vin minus V out, so we put VL instead of VL, we have L di by dt. So therefore, we convert that inductance value L on the other side, and we get the slope of current with which current is changing. Current rises from a smaller value to a larger value depending upon the duty cycle. Any question on this slide?
No, sir.
So second mode is when switch is open, and now because there is almost no voltage or open, so therefore the inductor side voltage is now 0, and there should be something on the anode side which keeps the diode in or forces the diode from reverse bias to conduction mode. So let's look at the factor which forces the diode to become forward bias. So now inductor is charged, and therefore on the left side we have 0 volts, and on the right side we have V out. So now as inductor is going to discharge, so therefore the voltage polarity is going to reverse across it, and now the positive terminal is on the right side, negative is on the left side. So therefore current is going to discharge through the capacitor and the load. So I out is the DC current, and IC is the capacitor current, and from KCL we know that IC is basically the difference between the inductor current and the load current, और I out. ठीक है, हम इसको IDC भी कह सकते हैं, I load भी कह सकते हैं, IR भी कह सकते हैं. So we can name it as we want. So this is basically the output or the DC current. So now if we look into the circuit, we have inductor on one side, and then we have capacitor, and initially diode was reverse biased, and because inductor current has to flow and we have already provided the path, So therefore, if we do not conduct the diode, the inductor current is not going to flow. And to keep the inductor current flow, inductor will generate a voltage across the diode so that its anode side is higher than the cathode side. Okay? So voltage is going to be generated because of the inductance, because it was charged, and we suddenly switch off the voltage. So therefore, inductor will generate a voltage spike which will force the diode to become forward biased. Okay, and therefore this diode will provide the current path for the inductor. Okay. So now the inductor voltage is going to be again LdI by dt, but in this case the VL is only because of the output voltage. So we have minus V out because polarity is now reversed, and therefore V out divided by inductance value L. This is the falling current slope for the inductor. So because previously inductor was getting charged, so therefore its current was going up, and now it is getting discharged, so therefore current is going down with negative slope V out over L, and on the rising side it was V in minus V out and divided by inductance value. So this is how current rises, and this is how current drops from a maximum to a minimum value. This happens in one duty cycle. During off time, the current goes down. During on time, the current goes up. So this is the waveform of inductor current, and this waveform is very important as far as the working of buck converter is concerned, because basically this inductor current includes all the information of current for all components. If we want to find out current for the switch, we can find it from this waveform. If we want to find out the capacitor current, it is embedded in this waveform. If we want to find out the DC current, it is in this waveform. So every component current is included in this waveform. Okay, so we'll discuss that in coming slides. So if we consider the steady state operation, then inductor current would stabilize between I minimum and I maximum. In this, you can feel that the duty cycle is less than 50%. That means the ratio of output versus input is quite small, less than 50%. So therefore we have a smaller time for charging the inductor, and we have more time to discharge the inductor. And because the slopes are different for the charging and discharging of inductor, so therefore you can see we have different slopes over here. both sides are not same. So if we look into the equations for rising slope, we have V in minus V out over L, and for falling slope of inductor current, we have minus V out over L. And if we consider the time to be very small, then we can change it to like this: delta IL by delta T. And then if we know that this small time duration is T on, then we can write down it like this: and we know that T on is basically duty cycle times the time period. So therefore, this equation now becomes the ripple current of inductor. That means this delta IL is basically indicates the ripple. So we can find the ripple using the charging side or using the discharging side. So this T1 is basically T on. So we can replace it as dt, and we can replace T2 by 1 minus, because this indicates T of time. So we can replace it as V out into 1 minus dt divided by L. Okay? So this ripple is basically peak to peak ripple, and it is basically the difference of I max minus I min. ठीक हो गया? And we know that the center point, the midpoint, is the average current, and that average current in case of buck converter is equal to the load current, and therefore this average is equal to the output current, and it is in the midpoint of the delta IL. So first of all, we need to find out what is going to be the voltage gain. That means how much voltage and input ratio is there depending upon the duty cycle. And we can find it through the average voltage across inductor, because we know that it is 0. So to find out average voltage, we can use the voltage which is going to appear across the inductor during on time and during off time. So let's say this is inductor voltage. So for positive slope, there is going to be a positive peak appearing across the inductor, and in discharging there is going to be a negative voltage appearing across the, and we know that this voltage is the difference V in minus V out with respect to the dt, and in negative cycle we are going to have this minus V out with respect to the 1 minus dt. So that is obviously we have over here. So we have dt over here, 1 minus dt over here, and because time period we don't need it, we can transform it on the other side because we can take it common on both sides. So this can be divided on the other side, and therefore we don't need time over here. So remaining is the duty cycle times V in minus V out, and off time duty cycle 1 minus D is multiplied by minus V out. So by solving it,
क्वेश्चन है सर। सर ये जो अभी आपने पिछले जो वोल्टेज का सर जो आपने ग्राफ बनाया होता है, ये काइंडली एक दफा आप रिपीट कर सकते हैं, समझ नहीं आया सर।
जिस वक्त हम इंडक्टर करंट को देख रहे होते हैं, so inductor current is charging and therefore the voltage is appearing across the inductor is like this, V in minus V out multiplied by this T on time, which is dt. And similarly, when we are discharging the inductor, then at that time we have negative V out and T of time, because depending upon duty cycle, अगर हम duty cycle को extremes पे ले जाएं, पहले extreme ये है कि duty cycle अगर 1 हो जाए, ठीक है? So duty cycle अगर 1 हो जाए, तो obviously then V in minus V out multiplied by total time period is the voltage appearing across the inductor. Similarly, if we have duty cycle going to 0, then the discharging voltage would be V out times the duty cycle, because D is 0, then the overall voltage is going to be minus V out multiplied by T. ठीक है, तो इस तरह से ये वोल्टेज जो है वो अपीयर होगा, एंड इफ वी टेक द एवरेज ऑफ दीज टू वोल्टेजेस, दैट एवरेज इन स्टेडी स्टेट इज गोइंग टू बी इक्वल टू 0.
राइट सर।
सो इसको अगर हम थोड़ा सा और सिंप्लीफाई करें, देन वी एंड अप विद दिस very small equation, and that is V out is equal to duty cycle times V in. ठीक है, तो ये बेसिकली फॉर्मूला कहाँ से आया है? इफ वी लुक इनटू द एवरेज वोल्टेज ऑफ इंडक्टर ड्यूरिंग स्टेडी स्टेट, ठीक है, सो ये कंडीशन इसकी मस्ट है, इट इज ओनली 0 इन स्टेडी स्टेट. सो अगर स्टेडी स्टेट नहीं आई है, वी हैव टू वेट फॉर. ठीक है, similarly as we say that the input and output power we want to be lossless, equal to each other, so therefore we can find out the current relationship inverted to that. So I out equal to I in divided by D. इस तरह का रिलेशनशिप आपको अगर याद हो, we have discussed the similar thing in transformers. ठीक है, ट्रांसफार्मर्स में हमने रखा हुआ था टर्न रेशो, और उसमें भी टर्न रेशो ये था कि प्राइमरी साइड वोल्टेज इज इक्वल टू ये सेकेंडरी साइड, आई थिंक सेकेंडरी साइड वोल्टेज इज इक्वल टू दी टर्न रेशो टाइम्स प्राइमरी वोल्टेज, ऐसे ही था कुछ।
यस सर।
ठीक है, और फिर जो सेकेंडरी साइड करंट होगा दैट इज गोइंग टू बी प्राइमरी करंट डिवाइडेड बाय द टर्न रेशो। ठीक है, सो यहाँ पे आपका जो ड्यूटी साइकिल है दैट इज एक्टिंग जस्ट लाइक दैट ट्रांसफार्मर effect. ठीक है, although we are not using transformer in DC to DC converter, but we can call it as DC transformer. ठीक है, तो आपको याद होगा हमने लैब में जो मॉडल डिस्कस किया उसमें भी हमने DC ट्रांसफार्मर को इक्विवेलेंट सर्किट के अंदर इंक्लूड किया। ठीक है, सो दैट इज जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ द इक्वेशन, दैट इज नॉट फिजिकल एक्चुअली, दैट इज ओनली फॉर द इक्वेशन और उसको अंडरस्टैंड करने के लिए। ठीक है, सो दिस इज एक्टिंग एज अ डीसी ट्रांसफार्मर। ठीक है, एंड इन करंट रिसर्च जो कि आजकल हो रही है उसके अंदर देयर इज अ टर्म यूज्ड एज DCX. So this term is used for DC to DC converters, and this DCX is basically indicating just like a DC transformer. ठीक है जी, so class time is over. Next class जो है वो फिर हम few minutes में start करते हैं। ठीक है, so यहाँ तक अगर कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो you can ask. So if no question तो फिर हम यहाँ पे स्टॉप करते हैं।